It can be a hassle to share your smartphone screen during a demo. So in this video, we're going to see how you can easily share your smartphone screen, but also make your demo look professional and top-notch. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe to learn the latest tips and tricks for your demos. Over the past 15 years, it's gotten a lot easier to share your smartphone screen during a demo. You have Reflector, QuickTime, AirPlay, and even apps like Zoom and Microsoft Teams now allow you to share your smartphone screen directly from the app on your phone. Each of these have pros and cons. Some only work wirelessly, some only work on a Mac or a PC. Personally, I find that many don't give me enough control of how I'm presenting them. What I want to do is I want to show you an example of a quick demo, and then I'll show you how I built it. For our example today, let's say I am playing the role of an HR manager sending an offer letter to my candidate, Sonia Alvarez, and I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to click on Send. Now in the next step of the demo, I am switching roles to be the candidate, Sonia, which we can see her screen here. We can see her email where she's received the document for her to sign, and she can go and click on that link right there to review and sign, and that opens up directly inside the web browser so she can review her offer letter. She can just go in and sign to complete the process. So how did we do this? Well, the main tool that I use is OBS. If you aren't familiar, go check out the links in the description below on how to use OBS for your demos. The next thing is I am using something called NDI Tools. NDI is a set of tools used to stream video over a network. It's free to download for Mac and Windows. And once you have that installed, you'll need to also install the OBS NDI plugin for OBS. This allows you to run NDI streams directly in your scenes in OBS. Now that we have that set up, let's get our phone set up. The first recommendation that I have for you is on your phone, make sure that you have a focus mode set up for your demos. Focus mode is available for iOS and Android. It allows you to be able to limit what apps are allowed to send notifications to you, what apps are showing on your home screen. And this is just a good practice to avoid any awkward notifications during your demo. To share your screen, I am using an app called NDI HX Camera. Now, this does cost money. At time of publishing, it's $20, which is not cheap, but it is similar to some of the paid offerings, and it gives me more flexibility, which we'll see in a moment. Before we do anything, I'm going to take a quick screenshot of my home screen here, and I'm going to send that to my desktop. We're going to use this as kind of a loading screen so that if I switch to my scene in OBS, it is going to look like the phone is already loaded up so that it doesn't look like a blank screen to the audience. Now I'm going to open up the NDI HX Capture, and I'm going to click Begin Broadcasting and Start Broadcasting. And that is then going to start broadcasting my phone screen to the network. So anybody using an NDI client would be able to then capture that. Now let's switch over to OBS on my computer. So in OBS, I'm going to go to my sources here, and I'm going to click on the plus sign, and I'm going to see that because I have the OBS NDI plugin installed, I now have the NDI source available to me there, and I can call this Phone NDI Demo, and we're going to click OK. And then in your source name, you'll be able to see your phone. If you're on the same wireless network, you'll be able to see your phone that you can choose there. And I like to also choose hardware acceleration and click OK. So now we can see my phone is loaded up on the canvas here. It's a little bit big, so I can resize this. I can just simply drag that to resize that where I want on the screen. Now I have my phone showing. Beautiful. But I want to add a little bit more Chrome to this. So what I've done is I've downloaded iPhone Frame PNG here. I downloaded from Adobe Stock. There's a lot of them available online that I can then take, and I'm going to just drag that into my scene, and I can then take that and resize that to layer on top of my NDI feed. Let's resize a little bit more here. Beautiful. So now I have that frame. Now it looks like I'm looking at an actual phone. Cool. So now let's add a few finishing touches. First, let's add that screenshot that we did before. And I'm going to then, again, just as we did before, I'm going to resize that to the same size as my screen here. And this is going to be just an image that's going to show up. And even if my phone is not running right at the moment, it at least has something that's showing on the phone. Once I get it in position, I'm going to then take this and move it to be underneath the iPhone NDI feed there. Now, what happens with the NDI connection is if your phone, say, shuts off, as we see here, it's going to then show you the last thing that was broadcasting. But if you first load it, then it's not going to show anything. That's why we have the image there, so that it then looks like the phone is ready for the audience and it's not blank. So now that I have each one of those, the next thing that I'm going to do is I want to group them together. So I'm going to create a new group. I'm going to call this phone group demo. And then I can just select each of my different sources here, and I'm going to drag that into there. And the reason that's helpful is that then allows me to be able to select my group, and I can move around all of those together. So as one finishing touch, I want to give the audience the sense of who's the persona I'm acting as. And so I've downloaded another stock image for a persona here. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to drop that in to give a face to Sonia. And so now I can then resize that. This is a really large image. Now, one trick that's also helpful is if you right-click here on your source, you can also use transform to fit to screen, and then you can also adjust your size accordingly. So let's just adjust this here. I'm going to move this around, and then I can change this to be on the bottom. Now I have my phone, and then I have my persona in the background. Looks beautiful. You saw in the demo before that when I was showing my phone, then I was able to zoom in certain spots in the demo. Now, the way that we can do that, it's actually really simple. I'm just going to duplicate this scene. And I'm going to then take my phone group here, and I'm just going to resize this. If I switch between those two, it's going to resize. But wait a minute, you'll notice that it's just resizing the actual phone. And to do that, you're going to need to install one plugin, which is the Move plugin for OBS, which allows you to have a scene transition for moving, which will take whatever objects are similar between the different scenes and just move them or resize them. One final thing that you might want to do with that is if you right-click on your scene, you can actually set a transition override and set that to be move. That way, if you are using, say, a scene transition otherwise called fade to transition between your different scenes in here, this allows you to be able to make sure that when it's moving between those different scenes, it's going to use that move transition. So what if I want my phone to show up on top of another part of my demo? I can do that pretty easily. So I'm going to select my phone group here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose copy. And I'm going to go over to my first scene here where I have, say, Acrobat sign. And I want the phone to show up here on the right-hand side. So I can just go to my sources here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to paste reference. And that's now going to bring my phone into here. And now I can drag this to where I want it to show. And if I want it to show and hide, I can just go into the button here, the visibility button, and I can show and hide that when I'm ready. but maybe I want to add a little bit of extra flair. Maybe I want it to have a transition as it comes in, like slide in. So I can right click on my phone group here and I can say show transition. I'm going to say slide, and I'm going to have it slide left. We can preview this. Yep, that's what I want it to do. And if I right click again, I can say a hide transition, and I'm going to choose it to slide right. So now if I hide this, it's going to slide out. And if I click it, it's going to slide in. Beautiful. So what I can also do is I can add a hotkey. Inside of OBS, then I can go in here and I can go to my preferences. I can go to hotkeys, and I'm going to search for phone, and I'm going to go down to where it is showing scene 1. We see phone group demo. We're going to select that, and I'm going to give it a shortcut of this shortcut. And to hide it, I'm going to give the same shortcut, which basically acts like a toggle. So now if I then click OK, if I click that button, it's going to hide and show that. So then when I'm on the screen, I can hide it whenever I'm ready there. You might ask, hey, that's great, but you're probably using a wireless connection, which I am. What if I have some wireless connection issues? I see this a lot of times if you're, say, on site at a customer, Wi-Fi doesn't always work well for demos. Well, what you can actually do is you can actually use a wired connection as well. I'm on a Mac here, and if I go to my settings here, I'm going to go to sharing, and I'm going to go to internet sharing. I'm going to say share connection from my internet connection. I'm going to choose my Wi-Fi, and I'm going to choose my iPhone USB here. And then I'm going to click the button here to turn on internet sharing. Now, when I'm plugged in to my computer, it creates a wired connection between my computer and the phone. So now on my phone, I'm going to go here and I'm going to actually hit airplane mode. And I'm going to go to my NDI capture here, and I'm going to click to start broadcasting. Now what's going to happen is it's actually going to have a network connection through the phone wired connection to the computer, so that if I am then inside of OBS here, we'll see that I am still connected and we are in airplane mode. So if I'm having a connection issue, I can still show my screen even though I don't have any internet connection. And if I use internet sharing on my computer, I can share my Wi-Fi or my wired connection to my iPhone's USB to allow it to be able to share. So as you can see, there's an amazing amount of control you can have when presenting your phones using OBS and NDI, and it allows you to be able to tell a better story and have great imagery. Now, this isn't the only way you can share your screen, but I do find it the most customizable. This is great because it's also cross-platform. If you want to use some of those tools like QuickTime or AirPlay, you can continue to use that with OBS. Just you might use a display capture or window capture source rather than using an NDI source. So that's just a way that you can share your phone screen during a demo and make it look stunning. Have a look at the description below where I've left links that can help you get started, and also alternative sharing tools if you need them. As always, I love to hear from you, so please don't forget to subscribe and leave comments on the video below.